And ahead of the crucial vote, von der Leyen has pledged to revamp border management and strengthen Frontex and Europol, and to put forward a new approach for return of migrants if she wins a second 5-year term as head of the European Commission. She's also pledged to launch European Union defense projects, including a European air shield, and vowed not to roll back green policies. In a 31-page vision document, she proposed to triple the number of European border and coast guards to 30,000. And she will appoint dedicated commissioners for EU enlargement and for relations with the Mediterranean. And DD India's Alex Kadir joins us from Brussels. Alex, Ursula von der Leyen has pledged to be a strong leader for Europe in the time of crisis and polarization, as she made her final leadership pitch today to the European lawmakers ahead of the vote. Give us a sense of the contest that she faces.
Well, certainly it's tighter than a lot of people expected. Ursula von der Leyen has not just made friends in the European Parliament in this last 5 years, but we've just heard from her. She's just addressed the 720 MEPs of the European Parliament in Strasbourg in a speech that was described by one member of the European Parliament as a European Christmas tree. There were presents for all parties, and that was the balancing act that she had to achieve in this speech. She had to keep as many parties on board without alienating others and drawing very clear lines. She promised not to roll back on green policies, but she promised to be tougher on migration. That keeps the Greens happy. That keeps the right-wing parties happy as well. So clearly this was a tightrope act for Ursula von der Leyen. The smart money, at least in Brussels, would be that she is almost certainly going to be approved by the Parliament. But again, this is a secret ballot. We do not know how the MEPs vote, and so they are free to oppose her, even if they are part of her governing coalition, as the Socialists or the Greens. So we'll have to wait and see the next couple of hours to see if Ursula von der Leyen gets confirmed by the European Parliament. If she doesn't, that would throw the European Commission certainly into some level of chaos. We would have to wait months for a new Commission President to be appointed by the Parliament. And that is one of the main arguments by Ursula von der Leyen. She says, look at what's happening in the United States. Look at what is happening to the global economy, to war in the Middle East. Europe needs stability. Europe needs continuity. That's why she's asking for the Parliament's trust. It'll take a couple hours before we know exactly what the decision is.
Okay. And Alex, how should we read her new approach to the return of migrants? Is that an olive branch to the Conservatives?
Yes, you're absolutely right. That is exactly what it is, looking at keeping those parties happy. There were three main threads. Ursula von der Leyen has said that from the beginning of her campaign. You have to be pro-Europe, you have to be pro-Ukraine, and you have to be pro-rule of law. That last one is crucial, pro-rule of law, including border laws, including migration laws, including immigration controls on the way into the European Union, strengthening Frontex, the border agency, strengthening Europol, the European police force, making it very clear to far-right parties, particularly to Giorgia Meloni's brothers of Italy, whose support she does need in this vote, that Ursula von der Leyen will be tougher on migration. Now, that seems fairly standard considering the political context, but if you think back to 2019, Ursula von der Leyen's speech when she took the helm of the European Commission back then was all about climate change, was all about green policies, about fighting climate change, about being sustainable. That is very different to the speech we heard today. Tough on migration to keep far-right and right-wing parties happy. But you remember of those three, there was also pro-Ukraine. She harshly criticized Viktor Orban, so she is not trying to work with all parts of the far right. She said his so-called peace mission to Moscow was nothing more than an appeasement mission and had nothing to do with peace. So she will work with far-right parties if they are pro-Ukraine, pro-Europe, pro-rule of law, but clearly Viktor Orban, not one of those people.
All right. Alex Kadir, thank you very much for joining us from Brussels.